famous rabbi, which we're exploring here in this series, is Rabbi Rachamim Natan Meyuchas, Zecher Tzadik Libracha, famous rabbi of his time, rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. He came from the famous rabbinic dynasty of the Miuchas family, Rabbi Rachamim Natan Meyuchas did, and much can be said within regards to the great rabbi himself. Now, I believe he was actually born, it's approximated, I think maybe it was the early 1800s, but it's not the exact dates when he passed away. Also, it's not 100% sure. There's varying different opinions over there, so I have to double check on that. It was a great rabbi of his time, and let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, he would actually learn Torah. He was very much learning Torah, spent a lot of time learning in Salonika, if I'm not mistaken. He would spend a big chunk of time over there. He would get married with Rabbinit Mazal Tov, I think daughter of Rabbi Yitzchak, and Rabbinit Miriam Perianti. This was a famous family, I believe, of their time, and we actually spoke, I think, about Rav Perianti, or some of the members of the famous rabbinic dynasty, or the Perianti family, respectively. He would, let's say, deal with in regards to the framework of Torah, learning Torah, especially through a Torah and Derech Eretz perspective, respectively. The great rabbi was. He would work in a huge amount, and on various different things. He would learn his living from trade. He had a small-scale farm, it said. So he was working in farming, which he was, let's say, predominantly spending much of his time on, but he was learning Torah at a huge rate. He was doing working on trade, and also at the same time he was a shochet, a kosher slaughterer, especially slaughtering the chickens and the animals over there for many years, providing kashrut within regards to meat for that specific vicinity in of itself. Now, he was well connected with many rabbis from all over, let's just say, all those different vicinities in of itself. They would rely on him within regards to the kashrut inside this specific area. And I think he was very much connected to area in Jerusalem called the village of Shiloh, if I'm not mistaken, where he was also over there, specifically in that specific locale. He was working over there and providing the, I think it was near the Temani village, the Yemenite village of Shiloh, if I'm not mistaken, where he would be providing meat and working on so forth. It's actually interesting. The Kfar HaTemanim, if I'm not mistaken, is also known as a Kfar Kishiluach. It's I think it's a Jewish neighborhood. Always it's been in Jerusalem. I think it's Bisiluan. I think it's quite near over there. I think when the Temanim, the Yemenite people, came actually into Eretz Israel, that's where they would settle in over there. Hopefully, as a channel, we can visit this specific vicinity in of itself, and because we explore Jerusalem on various occasions before. So that's very interesting. So he was very much over there, and he had a famous manuscript, if I'm not mistaken, which was I think in the book of Yosef Miuchas, I think a relative of his, an educator at later stage, Yosef Miuchas, he would actually writing some of his writings, which he actually wrote. And by the way, Yosef Miuchas was a famous man. He passed away in the year 1942. He was also an educator, a sofer. He was a scribe, and was very much part of the Jerusalem neighborhood, had very prominent positions over there. We're going to speak a few words in regards to Miuchas rabbinic dynasty in the coming minutes also. I think it's very important as we are doing this over here. So what was the writing? It says, Hadabar haya b'shanat tafresh lamed gimel, 1873. Ani hayiti az keben chamesh, biyom bahir echad ba avi, zechrono livra, el ha-talmud, Torah shebo lemadati, v'kir'ani lelechet imo. ובצעתי אל החצר, הגיחה לי בשמחה גלויה. נעשית בו כבר, כי את דירתנו אנו קובעים מעתה בכפר השילוח, הסמוך לעיר, שם נחיה ושם נשאף אור ואוויר. לא נשתה עוד מי בורות דלוחים, וירקות קנויים לא נאכל עוד, כי מים חיים של מעיין יהיו ממנו, Ani This was what the thing it was saying, and I think Yosef Miuchas is actually saying that when he was 5 years of age, it was a bright day, and his father came with him with the Talmud, what he studied, and came with him. They went to the courtyard and said, "With joy, you become a villager. We've established our dwelling here in the village of Shiloach, near the city here of Jerusalem itself, for the breathing, the air, the light, and we will." have spring waters, will be ours, will plant our own vegetables over there. And this is like many people towards the end of the 1800s, respectively, was growing, planting, and building in a fantastic country of Eretz Yisrael. He was a very, very great rabbi of his specific point in time. We can add more within regards to him also. I think he was the son of another famous rabbi, Rabbi Yosef Yom Tov Meyuchas, another rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. And obviously, we said his wife's name was Rabbanit Mazal, obviously Miוחas from the Perienti family, respectively. He would have children, including Yosef Miוחas, Benjamin Miוחas. He happens to be also another famous man, I believe. He passed away in the year 1948. Beya Mizrahi, that was his daughter. Miriam Mari Azriel, I think she passed away, in 1955 in Haifa. She was a wife of actually Chaim Azriel, respectively. And I think he would have also 3 other children, if I'm not mistaken. Very interesting enough. So that is also, we can say more information with regards to Rabbi Rachamim, just with regards to how he would get up. And, it was just a rabbi that was well breadth all throughout and doing it's a huge amount. So that's what we can also say within regards to him. Yeah, we can just say a few more words within regards to him about his father. Yosef Yom Tov, Rav Yosef Yom Tov Meyuchas. He was he lived, I think, during the mid 1700s, respectively, and it's another rabbi we've spoken about, I think, on various occasions before. Yosef Yom Tov Meyuchas is, remember, this was a rabbinic dynasty in of itself. This happened to be, and much more can be said within regards to him, which we have to point out also. I think, his son was born. Yosef Miuchas was born in the 1868, and he'd have another son, Benjamin Miuchas, who will be born in the year 1873. Rabbi Rachamim Natan Meyuchas. So that is also very, very interesting. So to learn more, let's explore about some of the great rabbis in this rabbinic dynasty of the family, the Miuchas family in of itself. Now, it was a famous family, let's just say, of great merchants. It was a Sephardic family from Spain. Many of them were in Eretz Yisrael since the 16th century. And many of them actually came, especially from the exiles, part of the exiles of Spain. I think some would settle originally in Izmir, in Turkey. Some would settle in Jerusalem, especially outside the city walls in of itself. And I think many of the children, descendants from the Miuchas family, will also get married to Ashkenazic families, which I don't know was that, let's just say, that common at that point in time. I think they came from the tribe of Judah. It is according to, let's just say, the tradition over here, of the family tradition. Let's explore a few of the rabbis from this rabbinic dynasty that had been all throughout various different times, including Rabbi Moshe Miuchas. He was one of the great rabbis of Jerusalem. He happened to have been, and he was nicknamed Rabbi Moshe HaParnes. He was the son of Rabbi Shmuel Miuchas Arishon. I think from 1723 they would have various importances in the land of Israel, and he was a famous rabbi without a doubt. And he was a great leader. He would raise money and have huge status over there. I think his son, Rabbi Avram Moshe Miuchas' son, Rav Shmuel, would actually get married to, I think, the daughter of the famous sage, Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov Hagiz. Rabbi Hagiz was another famous rabbi and was Rosh Yeshiva, the famous Bet Yaakov Yeshiva, and had various prominent roles. Remember the families. They married into other great families also. Another famous rabbi is Rabbi Raphael Miuchas. He was the son of Rabbi Shmuel Miuchas over there. Remember, many of them were great rabbis. We're not including all of them. I think he was born actually in the year 1701 in Jerusalem. He was also Shluchei de Rabbanan. He was one of the great rabbis of Jerusalem in his time. And what's interesting about Rav Raphael Miuchas Bar Shmuel, he was a Rishon LeZion, the chief rabbi of Jerusalem between the year 1756, I believe, to 1771. Very, very prominent position and really decorating, let's say, the rabbinic dynasty of the famous Miuchas family, respectively. Okay, we can add on more within regards to this great family in itself. So we see over here first Rishon LeZion. There was also Rabbi Moshe Yosef Mordechai Miuchas, another great rabbi from the dynasty. I think he was born actually in the year 1733. His father was Rabbi Raphael Miuchas, and he was, I think, would learn with the famous Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Eisler, the Chida, and in the famous yeshiva, Yeshivat Bet El, the Kabbalistic yeshiva in Jerusalem. He would write various different Torah colossal works in of itself. And I think also Rabbi Moshe Yosef Mordechai Miuchas will go on to become a Rishon LeZion, I think in the 1802, if I'm not mistaken. which is a very, very prominent position. So you can see this, it's one of the famous rabbis, let's just say, rabbinic families, definitely, in Jewish history, in Eretz Yisrael history. And he was at a time period, let's just say, where there was a lot of friction with Arab neighbors at that stage in time. And I think there was he had close connections with the various rabbis, especially the Al-Ghazi family, and very, very much so, and many, many great rabbis. We've spoken over here. This video is speaking about Rabbi Rachamim Natan Meyuchas. You can see already the greatness. There's also another great person, a public figure, Yosef Baran Miuchas over here. He was a founder and a teacher. This is a son of, now we're speaking a bit with regards to the son of Rabbi Rachamim Natan Meyuchas, who this video is dedicated to. I don't know if he was a rabbi per se, but he was a chairman of the Shaarei Tzedek neighborhood, and was part of various different organizations, Zionistic organizations, especially the B'nai B'rith, if I'm not mistaken. He was part of the city committee of the Jews of Jerusalem, very prominent positions inside this place in himself. He had a huge integral part of the Sephardic community committee in Jerusalem, and he would oversee many importances at that point in time. And I think Yosef Miuchas, obviously he was the son-in-law of, so the entire family in of itself was very, very prominent. And more can be said within regards to Yosef Baran Miuchas. I think Yosef Miuchas היה חתנו של יחיית מיכל פינץ, if I'm not mistaken. So I think his wife, if I'm not mistaken, was Ashkenazic. So he was a famous, let's say, Zionistic sofer in of itself, from Ashkenazi descent in of itself, and a very famous man. So you can see how the families was very diverse, and they would very connected to the Ashkenazic community also. There is another personality over here, another Yosef Miuchas. I think he was part of the Yakir Yerushalayim, if I'm not mistaken. He was born in the year 1920 in obviously the Kfar Hatimanim, that's where the place of Miuchas family was, and he was part of the Kibbutz Beit Zera, I think in 1939, and would return to Jerusalem, I think in the year 1944, and would start working within regards to children of that neighborhood. He'd have various important positions, let's just say, in of itself, and much more can be said. I think he would found the Sephardic Zionistic movement and take on other importances. We talked about the family members. There was also among the family members also Rabbi Mordechai Chaim Miuchas from his family, Rabbi Chaim Yosef Miuchas, who were especially Shluchei Rabbanans representing the Sephardic community. I think in Eretz Yisrael, and they would be very, very well traveled also in their time. So we have to point that out also. I think they would have famous houses also, I think, in the old city of Jerusalem, and much more can be learned about them. I think some of the tombs and the remains of them were discovered, I think, in the year 1914, if I'm not mistaken. And I recommend everyone to learn more about him. If anyone knows the exact date of his Silula, I really appreciate knowing about it. And just let us know more information. Friends, we're a community here. We're learning about the famous rabbis. Yes, sir. Yeah. If you descend from any of these rabbis we're speaking about, please let me know. Today I was speaking about Rabbi Rachamim Natan Meyuchas, another great rabbi of his time. Great rabbi, farmer in Jerusalem, and we've already spoken about maybe 3 or 4 videos of other great rabbis from the famous Miuchas rabbinic dynasty. If you descend from any of the rabbis we're speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. If you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos also to other people also, and help this community grow. At the moment, as we've got many, many members, we're nearing a staggering at the moment 7,000 subscribers, which is absolutely phenomenal, and it would be great if we can grow more. The target is to get to 7,000 by the time period of Bezrat Hashem, hopefully at the time period of Tisha B'Av, which is only about a week away. So that is very, very important. And also, it's not just videos we're doing on great rabbis inside the series. We're doing a daily tidbit on Daf Yomi, a daily Daf Yomi, also here on this series, which I feel is very, very important. We are also doing other importances over here inside this channel. We are speaking about Parshat Shavua, Rosh Chodesh. We are exploring some of the teachings within regards to that, and various other importances. So it's really, Baruch Hashem, we are concentrating on a lot and making huge progress. On that note, I wish you all a Shabbat Tov. We just came out of Shabbat, Parshat a great parsha of Shabbat, Parshat Matot Maseh. Was a double header over here, and we are now coming into the new book, Sefer Mishnah Torah, obviously popularly known as Sefer Devarim at the moment, and it'd be great to hear more information from all of you guys. And wherever you guys are watching from, please send me an email, let me know more, and we can speak more. Be'ezrat Hashem. It's actually interesting. I think very much this family, the Miuchas family in of itself, I think was close to the old city where they actually were. They had a house, I think, in the village. I think it could be that's where King David was. The house of David actually was, and famous tombs actually were there in that specific part in of itself. I think part of the house of David, respectively. So wishing you all well. Thanks for watching and take care. Thanks.